Okie dokie, boys and girls, it is day 342 of bulking to 75 kilos with calisthenics only, and today we have a hamstring day. Now it's a bit earlier than usual, as you might well not be able to see because you can't see fucking anything. But yeah, nonetheless we're at it today, and you know, for me when it comes to training, I might have said it before, I mentioned it maybe once or twice, the consistency is the most important part, you know, because training progress doesn't come from like a single good day of training. It comes from multiple days of training right after each other on a consistent basis, you know. And that's not like a couple days, that's over weeks, months and years. And so what I think is very important to stay consistent is that, well, you don't give yourself any choice. So of course you don't have to train every day, but what I do think is very beneficial is to not allow yourself to ask any questions. Don't leave any doubt in your head on whether you should train or not. So make up some rules for yourself, you know, on when you should and should not train. So for me, the rule is train every day and run every day. No questions asked, no matter what. Today I have some other plans. Well, that's too bad. I have to train anyway. There's no question, right? But for you, right, if you don't want to train every day, perhaps what you can do is, you know, give yourself a rule. Every weekend I should train, right? And in the weekdays, doesn't matter, but definitely in the weekend, at least once. If that's your rule and you only train once in the weekend per week, that's great, because you don't have any questions. No matter what happens in the weekend, you have to train, right? And by not allowing yourself to ask any questions, you know, the weak voice in your head, which is your survival instinct basically telling you not to exert yourself too much, it doesn't have a chance to, you know, when you're tired, say like, oh, today, you know, you did your best, you don't have to train, you have to rest, right? It doesn't happen if you have the self-rule and you apply it. So that's why for me, you know, training every day is very important. It's because I'm not able to ask those questions anymore. No matter how bad it sucks today, I still have to do it. And after a while, well, it just becomes a routine. But anyway, today's routine is gonna be the hamstrings. Now, first of all, I gotta head back home. And once I do, I'll be heading outside again for some Nordic rolls. Now, don't get me wrong, you know, I have to train every day. That doesn't mean that I have to fucking kill myself and do reckless stuff, you know. So today, yes, I would have liked to do Nordic curls unassisted again, but I feel like, you know, it's fucking 4, well, it's a bit past 4 a.m. right now, but it's early in the morning, I didn't sleep a lot, it's fucking cold, so I'm just gonna do the assisted reps that I did last time again, you know. And it's not that those are easy by any means. The burn is crazy. I was sore for like 3 days and only yesterday it was resolved, but yeah, nonetheless it's gonna give me a good burn. It's like fucking 0 degrees outside, so they're gonna keep me warm as well. And yeah, 5 sets of those, we'll see what happens from there. That's 5 reps of pinky assisted Nordic curls, and they're fucking heavy, don't get me wrong, but it's not because you're tired that you just suddenly are not able to do any heavy training anymore. You just have to make it controlled. So don't do heavy training by compensating for technique, by adding momentum and this and that. You know, try to control the movement, do some slow negatives. I'm turning into a bit of a science-based lifter lately, but don't get me wrong, it's all in the name of getting stronger. Now, that being said, this was set number 1 of 5. 5 reps of the pinky assisted Nordic roll. I'm gonna do basically 5 or 4 more sets of this, trying to aim for 5 reps. And then, since it's not a lot of reps, on the last 2 sets I'm also gonna do some drop sets, some when I'm not able to do my pinky assisted version anymore, I'm gonna move on to index finger, which is a stronger finger, therefore giving more assistance. And when it comes to the Nordic rolls, I think this is a very good way of training the Nordic roll, especially with the slow negative, because most people struggle with the bottom part. And by doing the slow negative, you're able to get a lot of stimulus at that bottom range of motion type shit. But basically, is it comfortable on your fingers? No, your fingers will hurt because you're trying to push them, give yourself assistance, right? And at the end of the set, you need you need more assistance than in the beginning, so your fingers are gonna hurt as well. But I think it's worth it in the name of unlocking the Nordic roll. So 4 more sets, let's go. Stupid set. Alright, fine, yeah. 1 more. Holy fuck. Alright. Moving on to hip extensions. Whew. I really don't want to be doing this right now. But what I want even less is to, end the workout and then after a couple hours have to think to myself, holy fucking shit, why didn't I do it? Even though I could have, So I rather question myself right now as to why the hell I'm doing this than later on as to why the hell I didn't do it. I just did a set of 10 reps with 36 kilos. For some reason, the last couple trainings, the hip extensions, they've been getting weaker basically. Last time it was particularly bad. Today it seems to be a little bit better again. So yeah, just 5 hard sets with this weight. Try to do as many reps as possible and get back on track, 5 sets of 14 reps with this weight will be legendary. So yeah, let's get some striated glutes, the glutes of an ox. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. Alright, fuck you. That was set number 5. In the end, I was able to do 5 sets of 10, which surprises me a lot because every one of those sets felt like an absolute max, but I guess that's physically not possible, You cannot do your physical max 5 sets in a row and get the same amount of reps every time. So that's a good thing to know, because then I know that I'm limited by my mindset. Next time, when I think that I'm at my limit, I can just recall or remember today and think to myself, just like Professor Oak is speaking to Ash in his head in Pokemon that he's not supposed to run or bike inside a house, right? I'll be echoing my own words, saying that I can go a little more, even though it feels like the maximum, I can do a few more reps. That's gonna be an important thing to remember for next time. But that's it for today's training, and holy fucking shit, I'm happy with how it went, It's not a special training, but it's special in the sense that I was still able to do it despite having some other stuff going on today. And I'm fucking proud of that, because, staying consistent, in order to stay consistent, I feel like you need to define for yourself what consistency is, because, can you call yourself consistent if you train twice a week, but you're supposed to train 4 times a week according to the schedule you have? No, because you're missing half of your trainings. But, that's why you kind of you don't need a training schedule, but you need to kind of define for yourself what consistency is. For me, consistency is showing up every day for a run and a training. If I can do that, I'm consistent. And for you, it might be something different. It's like I mentioned in the beginning. Perhaps you have a busy life. You only have some time on the weekends. Well, then define for yourself that even training once a week is consistent, but it's got to be in the weekend, and it's got to be done no matter what. And if you do that, you're allowing yourself, or you're not allowing yourself basically, to ask any questions. There is no question on whether or not you should train today, because no matter how shit you feel, no matter what's going on, you have the rule in your head. And if you don't complete it, you're not consistent. And it's very important to not make any excuses like that, because once you start, giving in a little bit, and you're like, well, today, if I were to train, I would have to wake up at 1 a.m. in the morning, right? Or if I were to train, I would have to stay up late all the way until like 5 a.m. in the morning, right? Well, then so be it, right? But as soon as you start asking, giving yourself that leeway, that, oh, I have to wake up early, or I don't feel well, I feel a little bit sick. All of those questions, the hurdle to then skip again starts to become lower and lower and lower. So, in the beginning, you might feel like skipping a training because you have to wake up at 2 a.m., but then you skip it, and the next time, oh, but I would have to wake up at 3 a.m., or I would have to wake up at 4 a.m. I'm just feeling a little bit tired today. I want to stay in bed. I'm not going to train today. You see how it's a slippery slope? Maybe that's not for everyone, but at least that's my experience, It's also with the rehab stuff and stretching and things like that. For me, the reason I fail so many times is because I always fail to define what success is. If you don't have a definition of success, how can you chase it? It starts to slip out of your hand, right? So if you then miss a day, you're like, well, I guess I can miss tomorrow as well. So that's kind of what I've been trying to avoid lately. I've just been trying to do something regarding stretching every day, no matter what. No matter how short it is, just do something. Because if I don't, right, it's going to slip away again. It's going to slip out of my mind. Perhaps that's just a personal experience, but I feel like, I'm not the only one with this problem. But yeah, that's it for today's training. Very happy with how it went. I'll see you tomorrow for a push day.